岁月、环境、规则 ，LPL 在不断改变。6年中，有许多人问我，你为什么还在坚持？这局游戏对你究竟意味着什么？
全军出击！
我见过最美的风景，也听过最热烈的欢呼。为了所有这些，我愿意付出一切。
何来联盟？
这局游戏是一段旅途，有人中途停留，也有人会做到最后，而终点只不过是另一个起点。
50的血量，50的血量！
我不懂那么多是非曲折，这局游戏赢就对了。
이번 게임의 낭만은 0부터 100처럼 무명에서부터 이름을 날리는 것이다.
我从来都没有后悔过自己走过的路。这局游戏的魅力就在于创造奇迹。
많은 사람들이 전설을 보는 것에 열광하지만 다른 사람들이 그 뒤에서 흘리는 땀에 대해서는 잘 보지 못합니다. 하지만 이러한 땀이 없었다면 저희는 다시 이곳으로 돌아오지 못했을 겁니다.
欢迎来到英雄联盟。
会变的是人和环境，不变的是游戏最后的胜利画面。
我明白，这场游戏就是成王败寇，
但是不到最后，我不会放弃对王冠的追逐。
这局游戏需要牺牲，无私奉献，去成就团队的胜利。
他还需要领袖，不管遇到什么困难，都和同伴一起扛下去。
是我最喜欢的玩具。
LPL 需要年轻的力量，是时候让我们来接管比赛了。
想成为这场游戏的主角吗？打败我吧！我们的时代还远没有结束。
Hello and welcome to week 2, day 4 of the LPL Spring Split. This is the English broadcast, as you can probably tell since I'm speaking English. And we're coming at you very shortly with a bunch of great games today. In fact, it will be starting with Bilibili Gaming. You can see them walking into their player room. Got Amazing J, of course, leading behind them. And on the opposite side, Edward Gaming. So, of course, it is very much a packed house for our first game of the day. My name is Richard Pauls Cam. I will be your host for today. And alongside me, I've got Zach Rusty Pie now. Bloody good day to you. How are you going?
Fantastic. It's Australia Day back at home. Of course, we're in China, but I'm hoping to have a ripper of a performance here today in the LPL studio.
Yeah, I'm sad that I'm not in Australia this year, unfortunately. I don't get to build my wizard staff because I was taught by Rusty. But Rusty, have you got any words for us? Any teachings from the land down under?
The only thing I can give you is a few roos loose in the top paddock, and now you can infer from that whatever you like. I'm not going to tell you what it means.
Oh, fantastic. You can still that one at home, but we did have a few days that we did miss in terms of action on Tuesday and Wednesday. But fear not, Dom has got us covered with his recaps. Let's take a look.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Missed It, the show where we cover what happened on Tuesday and Wednesday of the LPL. My name's Dom, and I'll be walking you through what we saw. Tuesday's first set pits Snake Esports against Team WE. Things start off with a Rise flex for Flandre in the top lane, and consistent pressure in all 3 lanes from the very beginning allowed SOFM to work his magic in the jungle. Great vision control alongside the early game pressure helped push Snake out to an early Game 1 win. Game 2 sees Melon on his signature Gragas, but unfortunately for WE, that doesn't stop Snake from the same aggressive style as Game 1. Mystic and Ben tried to keep down Crystal on his 3rd Vayne performance, but then a Rise showed up. And you know what? They did keep Crystal's Vayne down. But Rise kept on getting stronger and stronger, and as a result, we saw our 2nd pentakill of the split for Guoguo. Then the game shortly thereafter. Snake 2-0 WE. LGD follow up the day in their home stadium against RNG, playing in their first away game. Things started off well for RNG, kicking off the set with a dominant Game 1 victory, even seeing Xiaohu pick up the day's 2nd pentakill. But momentum started to shift as LGD fought back. Great defense of their jungle and ganks into the top lane started to build leads for Jinnu and Nanju as LGD continued to fight hard. Imp and PYL started off very poorly in the bottom lane 2v2 as Y4 and Ming rinsed them, but the tides quickly turned as they regained composure under pressure and bounced back, with enough momentum to knock down even the hardy RNG. after Xiaohu got a pentakill, after Y4 solo killed Imp, and even after MLXG won every smite battle, the resilience of an experienced LGD is still impressive. 2-1. Wednesday opens with Jingdong versus Invictus Gaming. Early on, JD tried to lock down the Shy's Jace pick, but he proves too much to handle, as he claims a triple kill in the first teamfight of the game. IG are quick to follow his newfound momentum, and with the Shy's rallying flag of Shock Blast after Shock Blast, it's business as usual for IG as he acceleration gates his way to the enemy Nexus in a one-sided shellacking. Game 2 sees the Shy relegated to Gnar, but that only allows Rookie to find his way onto the all-powerful trickster aspect of Targon, Zoe. Despite Yagao, Loken, and Clid finding an early lead, a botched pick onto a portal-jumping Rookie allows IG back into the game. One Baron later, and IG are finding their way in the swing of things. The series is closed out 2-0 Invictus Gaming. SKS has decided it's his turn to talk. Carry. And in our final match, we see him shine in Bilibili Gaming versus OMG. An early invade springboards SKS's Rengar, allowing BLG to find pick after pick. Before OMG knew it, SKS was one-shotting everyone, and it's the Pride Stalker that propels BLG to a Game 1 win. Game 2 was a much closer affair, with Icon's LeBlanc showing off some very fancy footwork. That being said, one LeBlanc can only do so much against 3 Barons, 1 Elder, and 1 very angry BLG Snowball. BLG finished the day 2-0 over OMG. Thanks for watching, everyone. We've had 2 pentakills this week already, and hey, I've got my fingers crossed for a third. We'll see you soon.
Cheers, Dom, and we'll be seeing you later today on the cast desk as well for the call on Bilibili Gaming and Edward Gaming, which is also our first matchup of today. But we had a lot of action happen on Tuesday and Wednesday, Rusty.
It was pretty insane. I'm a little bit sad we didn't get a chance to cast it ourselves. Of course, Tuesday, Wednesday are the days the English broadcast does not operate, but we saw upsets all Tuesday, days that you didn't expect to see these crazy outcomes for. LGD in particular, even getting a victory was surprising to say the least, but that is super exciting for the standings, you know, for how the whole league itself looks.
Yeah, exactly. And talking of the standings, we are going to take a look at those because it's absolutely insane what it's done to the roster. So we'll take a look at the right side onto the East Conference first off. As you can tell, there's a bit of a tie-up.
Yeah, 5 teams sitting there at 2-1 in the standings. You're absolutely right, it's a tie-up. There is one team that sadly looks like they're not even making playoffs in Rogue Warriors, but with the exact same head-to-head, only being in Week 2, a whole lot can change. However, being this early into the split and having everyone look this close is nothing short of amazing.
But it's the west side which it got really spicy because Bilibili Gaming currently 3-0 above some of their competitors as well, such as Edward Gaming. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, Bilibili being the only undefeated team in the LPL so far is surprising as well. We didn't expect them to be undefeated. We didn't expect them to take out the opponents that they did, such as WE, and we thought better things from OMG as well. So credit to them.
Yeah, 100%. Now, we already mentioned it, Bilibili Gaming will be playing first today, but let's take a look at the rest of the schedule that we have coming up on today on Week 2, Day 4. So, BLG versus EDG, we've already mentioned it, and second game of today will be Vici versus WE. Now, we've only seen Vici once so far, not even on our stream, so that'll be very interesting as we get on later today.
Yeah, it'll be super exciting to have the introduction of Vici Gaming to the LPL once more. They've been here before, they were relegated, but now they're finally back to the LPL. They've still got Easy but they've added Crash instead of Bengi, and you'd know Crash from 1907 Fenerbahce when they competed at Worlds. So now he's come back to the team that he was in beforehand, being Vici, and again, this is a pretty slow team, but we still have pretty high hopes for them, adding Crash to that roster.
Yeah, well-known faces, but you're going to have to wait if you want to catch that game later today, because we'll be talking about our first game, which is BLG versus EDG. Now, 3-0 on BLG's side, not necessarily a scoreline you would have expected for the start of the split, but versus EDG, who are not looking too hot themselves currently.
I mean, expectations in this set is always a very hard thing to actually pronounce. I mean, I want BLG to do well and continue to win, but we all know that EDG should still be the favorites, and that does feel a little bit disingenuous to a 3-0 BLG to ever say such a thing. These teams are super familiar to one another, however, and I have this feeling that BLG may be a little bit more nervous than their counterparts in EDG.
But actually, how close is it? Because EDG, yes, they're a long-standing organization, but in terms of the players they have on the roster, there's a lot of new players on the roster.
Yep, there certainly is. Of course, the top lane and the jungle position, if you look at iBoy, consider him a newer player as well to the lineup. That does still feel valid to me. Mako is the star of the team that needs to actually perform and carry. I think Ray's going to do super well against Amazing J, though, and that's where I expect the tide to change.
Oh yeah, that makes me very happy as well for you to be talking about the top lane, Rusty, but we are going to send it over to the casters. But before we go there, we're going to hear from Amazing J and his thoughts on EDG.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Dominic Dom Romer, and joining me with some I can't tell if it's satirical or supporting. Indiana Frost and Black, how are you?
I would be nothing but supportive.
Oh, yeah. We're going to go ahead and say that's what that is. So you just heard a little bit from Amazing J. But again, we are getting into the Civil War. It's BLG versus Edward Gaming. We used to call this Little Brother versus Big Brother, but Little Brother has grown up, and he's got some reach on him. He's got some arms.
Yeah, Little Brother is currently undefeated in the LPL right now and standing very fat and happy on the top of the standings. Now, that said, BLG, formerly known as IMA, have carried over the exact same roster that they had last year to this year, whereas EDG are now going through their own growing pains, trying to get Ray and Haro comfortable in those top-end jungle positions.
And that's what makes this matchup so exciting, because not only are we seeing changes from the Big Brother, trying on some new clothes, maybe trying to get into the ring a little differently, but BLG, currently they are 2-7 against Edward Gaming. They've won a single set out of 4. And now Edward Gaming are looking a little shaky. 1-2 with some new players on the lineup. Could this be a chance for the Little Brother to strike back?
I mean, I definitely am going to echo a lot of the sentiment from the analyst test, but I feel like a lot of people, a lot of unsure fans in the stadium today, because the majority of them are EDG fans, are a little bit cautious coming into this one. BLG are actually the favorites for probably the first time in their career against EDG.
Ooh, hard to believe, even when the words are coming out of your mouth itself. Now we are into champion select. Already, Zoe, Jarvan, and Rise banned away from Edward Gaming. Gangplank, Camille, and Azir on the other side.
So the big one that's standing out to me that's missing from all of this is Malzahar, and it's kind of been a very hit or miss depending on which LPL team is going to prioritize the Malzahar. Before, we saw that Malz was being the priority pick over someone like Sejuani, which is being hovered now by teams like RW, but this time around, Sejuani is kind of the other big champion that's really been filling up the priority slot for the LPL teams.
It's just so easy to toss out a single bola and lock someone down, plus the fact that she has mobility around the map, it just enables so much for the team.
But it does mean that someone like Kalista has slipped through the draft phase there. Normally we see Kalista pretty much perma-banned from red side, so obviously EDG feel very comfortable from this red side strategy to give away either the Malzahar, in this case the Sejuani, so they can secure that Kalista for themselves.
Ooh, but now this is very interesting. Not only is it Kalista, but Haro, previously criticized for having a champion coin, playing 2 champions, Jarvan or Kha'Zix, decides he's going to expand this to champion pyramid, I guess?
And you can definitely tell why, Dom. From your recap previously, it was you that underlined SKS and his success on that Rengar pick the last time we saw BLG versus OMG. So I feel like this is Haro not just expanding his champion pool past Kha'Zix and Jarvan, but also trying to deny a very potent weapon that SKS already flexed with.
We're going to see how Haro does in this game, because BLG, they've already locked in their 80 carry for themselves. Jin Zhao taking that Varus. Now, when BLG beat EDG way back in the day in spring 2017, it was off of the back of Jin Zhao's Varus. And now that he's back in the meta and we've got champions like Tom Kent's to protect it, BLG seem like they might be taking a page out of last year's strategy.
And to be frank, Jin Zhao doesn't really get the respect that he deserves. The problem is that he's a bit of an up and down type of 80 carry. Sometimes he has incredible performances and sometimes he's just non-existent. It's kind of been the nature of BLG and why they're not a household name despite going to Worlds in 2016. Now, underlining the Tom Kench pick, the fact that Malzahar was the last available kind of big 4 mid laner left because Zoe, Rise, and Azir had been taken off, and the fact that BLG were just kind of gifted Tom Kench for a Rengar priority pick, I think is a huge misstep from EDG. Hopefully they have some sort of plan to deal with it. Kalista actually does fairly well into Tom Kench because she has kill pressure on him, one of the very few champions that does, just because of how her Ren stacks interact with the Gray health, but this is like EDG going so all in on iBoy basket. The fact that they banned the Gangplank, the fact that they banned the Camille, priority picked the Kalista, it's very obvious they're trying to sculpt a strategy to make this pick thrive.
Well, perhaps this is EDG relying a little bit on their new AD carry. I say new. He's barely played about 30 professional games at this point.
Pretty much the veteran for the team, though, is kind of what you're circling around, especially when he stands next to someone like Mako, who is the captain. That is a Maokai ban.
Yeah, it certainly is. Got to keep Amazing J off of something that is unkillable, because we know he does have some propensity towards the likes of those champions. Already his Camille and Gangplank banned away.
It is fairly interesting. Again, we'll see what the top lane matchup does turn out to be. Ray and AJ do have very interesting champion pools, and a lot of attention is being focused up into the top lane. Now, Maokai does act as a good answer against Kalista, and because Tom Kinch is already selected, the other one, which would be Alistar, isn't available. So I'm very curious how BLG think that they're going to deal with the mobility of that pick that EDG are prioritizing so heavily.
We're still looking at the support and the top lane for EDG. I mean, you said the name, and suddenly Mako seems like he can hear you through time and space. We got to make sure your headset isn't wired into the front stage.
I mean, the thing is, though, is that Braum is such a high priority because, again, the top lane pool has been pinched so heavily. We've got Camille, JP, Maokai, and Gnar all taken away. The other big name is Ornn. If you have Braum, though, it automatically means that Ornn isn't a viable pickup because his RAM can be canceled out by the Unbreakable Wall.
As Mako so learned himself, taking support Ornn into Snake. Running that Braum to defend themselves. But now we've got the Vladimir locked in. This is looking so close to the same, a very similar composition, I should say. Sejuani is a bit different, that BLG ran when they beat EDG. I love it.
I mean, I don't want to grab any trends or take anything away from BLG, but the last time we did see IMA or BLG on the rise, it was a very similar meta. You know, a lot of tools like the stopwatch, like the overheal, like the relic shield to kind of allow teams to hard carry or scale into late game, and that's where BLG really thrive. It's in their big 5v5s. They're not a lane-focused dominant team.
The big snowball was what allowed them to take down OMG just a few days ago, but that's Galio locked in.
And that is a counter pick into Vladimir as the Cho'Gath is being hovered. So Cho has been seen in the EULCS into Vladimir, and how it works is that Cho'Gath is actually able to deal with Vladimir's sustain because he has it built in on his kit, and he can compete with Vladimir's early wave clear and actually shove him in during the early levels. So great pickup and recognition from Ray there.
And now Ray, we know traditionally he likes to prefer those high damage, high DPS champions. Well, this time he gets to be high damage and a nice big beefy front line with that big old true damage feast. And it will be Amazing J taking that Vladimir in the top lane. It looks like Athena taking Galio in the mid to be safe against that Malzahar. But BLG, you talked about the 5-man clump. If they manage to get themselves rolling together, it's going to be so difficult for EDG to tear that apart.
And it's also the fact that they have the added flexibility because it is a Vladimir in the top lane versus someone like a Cho'Gath, that it doesn't have to be a 5v5. Now, it's BLG, so it probably will be a 5v5, but they can play a 1-4 and have a superior or a stronger split push, whereas Cho'Gath, he'll be fine to stand across from Vladimir in the late game and soak up farm, but he won't be controlling or dictating the side wave pressure in the same sense that BLG can.
And that's where we look to Haro, the new jungler for EDG, to really prove himself. He's been on and off. He's been training for quite a while with the team. We're still looking for that star performance, though, from him.
And it's hard to pick up a legacy like Clearlove has left in EDG. I mean, he's kind of been the foundation, the rock. EDG have never won an LPL title without Clearlove, so it is a big statement for Haro to be continuously the starter.
And we'll have to see if Mako, now the captain of the team, can be the elder, can be the senior to everyone else and fill that role that Clearlove has left open. Whereas BLG, on the other hand, they've got their shining star. They've had it since the beginning. Everybody knows it's Amazing J.
Yeah, and the thing is that AJ and Mako really came from the same place at the same time. They grew up together, and it's why EDG has nicknamed this match the Civil War. Former sister teams, big brother versus little brother. And finally, like you said, little brother might have the edge here.
Well, it looks like we are getting just about ready to load onto the Rift. Frosco, depending on the outcome of this match, it might not be big brother versus little brother. It might be brother versus brother when this is all done. But it appears that we have loaded in. The crowd, there they go. Oh, no. There is one very passionate BLG fan and many EDG fans in the audience. But, hey, today's the day. There have been plenty of upsets already here. Week 2 in the LPL. BLG lead the standings 3-0. They've dropped a single game so far in the LPL.
And BLG are no strangers to standing against a crowd that isn't on their terms and declaring that they're going to win anyway. It was 2016 that AJ stood in the LSPL stage, said, one split, I'm taking this team from Challenger to Worlds. And then he got to do so at the regional qualifier. So being undefeated now, looking at the team that kicked him off the roster after attending Worlds with EDG in 2015, he can get some sweet revenge.
Yeah. We know that AJ is a bit of an emotional player when he manages to get on a roll, but sometimes that can be a bit of a detriment when he ends up letting his emotions dictate him. But let's take a look at these jungles here. Looks like red start from Sedge, but also red start from Haro.
Yeah, and I really want to point out the red start from Rengar. So naturally, it does give him a priority path down towards the bottom lane. And we talked about how Braum really protects the AD carry from picks like Ornn, which have great access into the backline with his ultimate by denying it with Unbreakable. Well, they also give you great jungle gank paths. The fact that Rengar can and have a viable strategy to walk into a Tahm Kench lane in tandem with Braum and have kill pressure. And I think that's going to be EDG's strategy.
Well, we'll have to see how that works out because it was a Raptor clear into Wolves, and already you can see an on my way ping bottom. And if there's anything I know about playing here on the Chinese server is that on my way means fight and fight now.
Start running into the fight
Which
right this second.
Exactly where Haro is going. Gets level 3.
He should grab the Scuttle Crab and smite it just so he can get some health back. Doesn't want to walk into the lane that low. And likewise, he needs to wait for the wave to kind of bounce and reset back. So for now, Rengar does have some time where he can do some scouting and try to figure out where Sejuani is, although they should know exactly that he's on blue buff.
So not going to the blue buff quite yet. He sees that the Raptors for SKS has been taken, heading over to his own side of the map.
And I do want to quickly point out, the camera didn't show this, but Tahm Kench also peeked up into the Golem camp, so it's quite often that a support will early ward there because they're trying to check the junglers swapping sides. So it feels like both teams have a very good read exactly where Rengar is and exactly where Sejuani is.
And while Rengar not quite as effective as ganking without that level 6, he seems to be well on pace for trying to head over towards it. Just takes a small detour to look for some vision, some minor opportunities. Here in the mid lane, though, you can see some pretty awesome stats. Look at that. Kill participation, 74% for Athena, and Scout is 13th out of 14 mid laners.
And Athena has been playing really high impact champions like Azir and now with the Galio. So it makes sense that his kill participation would be that high. Now what I really love is that Galio is kind of making a resurgence back into the meta. He's been seen in the EULCS. I was checking Faker's solo queue the other day and he's been playing the champion a lot. And it makes sense because we're constantly having these compositions similar to what EDG are running right now, where you have 2 double AP, so the Cho'Gath as well as the Malzahar, and then Sejuani's a high priority jungler, Ezreal is a super high priority ADC as well as Kog'Maw, so it makes sense through Galio's itemization and natural kit that he's going to get stronger just based on the enemy champion picks.
And now that being said, in the stats, we did see higher damage percentage from Athena. Probably not going to be seeing so much this time around. Yeah, that Galio not going to be massive for him. But still, taking a look at everything else, I just want to clarify the reason that we are seeing what we are, still the Targons in the bottom lane. It's still 8.1 here in the LPL, so we don't have any of those big changes just yet. So, still running the same pattern of play as last time. Scout just trading it out with Athena. You can see Rengar, he's kind of on the hunt, gets a ward into the river, and was spotted out by AJ, who just fell back.
And again, didn't get that window to gank bot lane, Varus and Tahm Kench, allowing themselves to get pushed in, hunkering down underneath their tower, realizing that Haro had started top lane, and now SKS has been able to take control over the bottom side river and place down a lot of very early scouting vision. So we had, predictions that Haro might try to make a play with the Braum very early on. It's a very EDG-esque thing to do, and it's very clear that BLG have read that situation and are trying to circumvent these circumstances.
Yeah, of course. This isn't just one more match in the LPL for these teams. This is the Civil War. This is little brother versus big brother. And now we can start to take a look at, while we've got this downtime, while Rengar is farming up for level 6, Sejuani doing the same, we can look at some of these items. So still seeing the Spell Thieves for Amazing J up top. Scout taking it in the mid lane, too.
And the nice thing about Spell Thieves is not only kind of the added gold that you can get when you harass people because you can get the bonus, but it's really the quest level up. The fact that it helps you really stick to opponents. Now, in the case of Malzahar taking Unsealed Spellbook, you know, post-lane phase, he's going to trade that teleport, he's going to pick up a Ghost, and then having Spooky Ghost just helps him that much further to catch up and lock down as the primary initiation point for EDG. Amazing Jay, he's in the exact same scenario. He wants a little bit of added pocket gold to take home when he does look for those trades onto Cho'Gath and lane, but then post-lane phase, once he has the upgraded quest and the Spooky Ghost, it's really hard to get away from that Vladimir and helps allow him to flank for team fights.
Yeah, and so I've got to ask, because we've been talking a whole bunch these past few weeks about the Malzahar Kazakhs, the fact that those two can just pick someone out and lock them down. How's the Malzahar Rengar? I have to assume it operates under similar principles.
You're exactly right, Dom, and I love the fact that you asked a question that you already knew the answer to. There's a smug look on the face.
She's looking at me like a proud parent, like, exactly, I did want to talk about this.
Please, you can duo with me in solo queue now. It's the same idea. You want to pick a jungler that has enough burst potential that they can 100-0 the enemy that you lock down through the duration of the Malzahar suppression.
And just like that, Haro, he's not quite level 6 just yet, but even pulling Scout away from the minion wave to scare SKS back, we're starting to see a slight advantage open up for Haro. Barely anything, 3 CS, but he did get that bottom side Scuttle Crab. They still have got river control on both sides of the map.
And most importantly, the stopwatches are now live. So Haro, he's taking his time, he's level 5, he's closing in on level 6, he's going to have second rotation of buffs, and now if he does want to make a play happen, he doesn't have to be scared of towers. And that's what's been really interesting about the LPL versus the other global regions. We have a 10-minute average faster game time than pretty much every other region. I believe NA and E are sitting around 38, and Korea is sitting between 40 and 42.
LPL? Yeah.
42 is our average game time. And the thing is, you know, you give the LCK heavy disengage tools, champions like Kalista, which, yes, they can engage, but they can also pull their support to safety. Azir, he can set up that wall and push you away. Ryze, Zhonya's ult disengage. And they elongate the game times because unless you find the perfect engage, the Korean teams will just walk away with you. But the LPL uses those creative tools not to disengage, but to hard engage. We use the stopwatch offensively. We're diving. We're not denying kills with it.
That being said, BLG still a little bit more of a patient early game team. They do like to take their time and wait for the snowball. And their set against OMG Icon was absolutely huge, but BLG just grouped up as 5. And there's only so much one LeBlanc can do as, ooh, Ray, he's actually got the feast ready. Ooh, but that's a stopwatch.
And I'm glad that you brought that up because the, 3 teams that we have today, BLG, Vici, and WE, are probably the outliers to the LPL. Yeah. They are usually a bit more patient, a bit more 5v5 oriented teams, and again, aren't super proactive in the lane phase, although we'll see if WE speeds it up with Condi starting later today.
Yeah, we certainly shall. Of course, that match is happening a little bit later on. Scout still waiting for his teleport, has enough mana for the Malefic Visions. Ooh, he's able to get most of these creeps.
He's actually in trouble because his blue buff was denied by SKS, and you can see that Scout needs to take a recall that he probably otherwise wouldn't have wanted to take.
Still getting a little closer towards that teleport. SKS immediately hops the wall.
Yeah, but he can't participate in that fight. Scout is who I'm talking about. Again, doesn't have a lot of mana to his name, and he really just wants to kind of grab this wave and make his back, which is why BLG have such confidence to be very bullish in EDG's jungle.
Yeah, you can even see it in the bottom lane. Jin Zhao and Rhodes starting to push up. Slight CS difference for them. They don't even have any offensive items, but just the presence alone to keep iBoy and Mako from interfering with SKS.
And there is an opportunity here, knowing that Scout's back, but as I was going to say, they could go in.
The grand entrance and the knock-up flash from Haro gets him to safety. But here comes the teleport. Already some skirmishing from Jin Zhao and Road down in the river to help protect from any sort of flank. BLG try for something, and they end up walking away with a flash.
But didn't waste any time seeing that they did have an opportunity. Scout had to go back. He didn't have any mana, and that was all the information that BLG needed to try to wiggle their way into this game.
Ooh. There's a bit of damage onto SKS as that Scuttle Crab is going to be, the most frustrating. Haro locks it down with a pretty good bola. And 10 minutes in, looks like BLG have gotten what they wanted. They're allowed to sit back and relax. Amazing Jay finishing off his Frost Fang, going now for the Frost Queen's claim. Going for the Kindle Gem just to get the health to keep him safe from any feasts. And Ray happily pushing this wave up.
And right now we can kind of see how the Cho'Gath into Vladimir works. Again, Vlad really doesn't have the same pushing power until he gets more points to a lot of his abilities. And so Cho is able to compete with Vladimir's infinite sustain because he has sustain himself built into the kit, and then outpush him and actually hold him up underneath his tower. The difference is that Cho'Gath is not going to be nearly as effective in a side lane as Vladimir will be late game. But he does have more Baron control.
Look at this. Scout racing forward. He's got flash. That's the Hemo Plague. Frost Queen's claim. The Ghost tracks onto Amazing J after he comes out of the pool, and a quick flash gets him to safety.
And that's a very heavy party from EDG up on the top side. Even Mako is currently walking up the mid lane looking to participate. So both teams still kind of looking for an answer. And where I suspected it was going to be the bot lane for EDG, they haven't touched it.
Instead, just sitting back, trying to maintain that advantage over Jin Zhao. Again, EDG putting a lot of eggs into this iBoy basket here. Still very young player. He needs to hold his cool against Jin Zhao and show off why he thinks he's the best AD carry in the LPL.
Is it just him?
I think every AD carry thinks they're the best AD carry in the LPL. As SKS heads on up top, catches up to Ray and eats just a bit of damage.
It's very brave.
Yeah, Haro's on that side of the map. Thrill of the Hunt is ready, but SKS just going to hold on to it. Still no Hero's entrance from Athena off of cooldown just yet.
And there's no Hemo Plague, which is probably why Ray felt confident enough to step up there and look for a trade against SKS. Galio's not going to come in. Vladimir can't amplify the damage at all.
And look at these defensive wards that EDG are placing all across the top side. They're starting to push up into the river. Yeah, those red side wards. SKS was spotted well in advance. And now we're starting to see just a bit more vision from EDG on this bottom half of the map. They are absolutely littering the map with wards here.
And what Jin Zhao and Road are giving up in minor CS, they are picking up in safety. Again, they're pretty much perma-push underneath their tower. They did extend bottom or forward bot lane at one point when BLG were trying to invade the jungle. So SKS just making really good advantage about which lane he has priority, which side of the map is actually strong at the time.
Bit of brief skirmishing in the river between SKS and the bottom lane of iBoy and Mako. Means he's allowed to get a control ward and push back. You can see plenty of zombie wards on this side of the map too for BLG from the earlier invade. SKS.
So what they're trying to prep for is the natural blue spawn, which is why suddenly Varus and Tahm Kench are again hard pushing the lane forward and trying to open up space for SKS. Now he's done the work, he's planted a lot of the triangle vision in EDG's blue side, and Tahm Kench is post level 6, but hold on.
Yeah, this is going to be a stun. Like you said, that Rend makes trading with Tahm Kench so very favorable, though he is getting just a bit of health back. And Jin Zhao is playing with a bit of fire here. He's got both his summoners.
This is going to be a fight over the blue buff. Look at where Scout and Haro are. They're immediately taking their backs. They have a control ward on it, and they immediately ping it. They do not want to give this away.
Yeah, Athena pushes forward. Immediate teleport from Scout to get himself back in as Haro is racing back onto the map. Teleport available for both top laners. But no excitement comes of it. Looks like recall is finished from Jin Zhao and Road. Finally, he finishes off his Gwynsu's. Athena is able to pick up the Abyssal Mask. And as the blue spawns, BLG find themselves pulling back. So this time, EDG are prepared and ready. Again, a very experienced team, well capable of reading that play in advance.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that where it's been pretty quiet, it's suddenly going to get very loud. So everyone is coming up on level 11, which means we now have 2 points on our ultimate. And even though it's just a Cloud Dragon, you can kind of feel that the teams have been sizing each other up. And I have a feeling that the trigger's about to be pulled, that someone is going to strike.
It does seem like a very respectful game won so far. Neither of the teams really trying to dastardly outplay each other in the classic sense of the LPL, where it's like 50-50, I'll outplay this. In this case, maybe there have been a couple of 50-50 opportunities, but it really seems like both EDG and BLG are saying, we'll wait. We'll let the stakes rise. This isn't your everyday poker game. You're not trying to win a handful of money from your opponents. This is
like a $20. This is like
$20.
Your reputation and your pride is on the line.
This is the one that counts. I think our $20 is the high stakes.
What? No, I said that was the low stake.
Okay.
Saying it's not a $20 game.
This is the respectful game from the two. But now, take a look at this. EDG setting up some vision on the bottom half of the map.
BLG have a
Towards the
read.
river.
You can already see that Galio and Sejuani are starting to move, and so now it's, you know, who is sure enough that when they make this play, it will 100% work out, because this will be the first big opening of the game.
Road pulling back into the jungle just in case.
This is smart, though. So EDG know that if they keep the isolated 2v2, that they're going to win it naturally. BLG recognize this as well. They can't exit and get bottom, so they're trying to make something happen mid.
Ooh, SKS is the target. He's going to be suppressed. Damage reduction is not enough. Knockup, he's still alive. Ultimate tags on the Haro. He's stunned. Athena flashes the wall, but that's a Zanya's. Haro has flash. He's over, but the Ignite burns. First blood to Road as Jin Zhao forced to get a snare onto Mako. Trying to be careful here because iBoy is on the way. Big knockup. SKS is going to eat it as Jin Zhao with a sidestep walks to safety. 1 kill, but the cards have been put down and BLG wins this hand.
Yeah, bad read. Bad poker face from Haro there. Getting a little bit impatient. You can see some of that inexperience maybe kicking in. Because again, if EDG just keep the isolated 2v2, iBoy versus Mako, they're naturally winning that. But they decide to get a little bit antsy mid lane. It does mean that Haro falls, but massive damage and big priority for Scout on the tower.
He's able to chip away a lot of its health. Teleport used by Athena to get right back in. He can't even clear the wave of right away. Because of that silence from Scout, finally he's able to get in there, and now things are going to reset and relax just a little bit. And Scout's already got his ultimate back off of cooldown.
I thought
Lots
for a
of
second
CDR.
that was a glitch. I was like, there's no way Malzahar has his ult.
Yeah, he's got it right back up. Holy cow, that's a lot of CDR. And Haro's still sitting on his own, so EDG, they could have a window here where the hero's entrance is down for another 20, 30 seconds.
He's going to be forced to use his teleport back mid lane, though. In fact, his back just got canceled. Just like, God damn it, Athena, please. Just let me base.
Oh, AJ steps forward. Ray thinks he has the outplay. Does he flash? Oh, and Hemo Plague. AJ thought Ray was going to go in for it.
Oh, 60 HP on Vladimir is now. Here comes BLG to the rescue.
Yeah, there goes a quick slow onto Ray. Jin Zhao following up, but Scout, he's got his ultimate. He's not going to risk it, though. Ray gets greedy for the kill, off by barely 100 health, and he pays for it. That being said, first tier 1 to iBoy solo bottom lane. Oh.
He's going to have to tank it. He's got it.
This is going to hurt.
Hold on.
Okay. Holding his breath. Look at that. He's not even sweating in that player camp.
So great read from BLG. Again, it's just a Cloud Dragon, so they're actually still trading up here despite the fact that they did lose the first tower. They decide to use Tahm Kench. They swap their bot lane. Hold on, though. Athena, hello?
Oh, he's going to step forward. Silence. Suppression is still ready for Scout, but Athena is very tanky. Abyssal Mask and Negatron. Top tier 1 goes down. Meanwhile, SKS has been working on that Rift Herald, and he's going to be able to finish it off. Oh, but Amazing J wants iBoy. Protobelt is finished. He's starting to get a little bit of damage. Teleport, though, is going to prevent AJ from racing forward.
And again, it's just the cherry on top as the fighting is not stopping.
Oh, more action as it's going to be chasing into the mid lane. Mako, he's stunned mid-knockup. Awesome pose. But he's able to walk himself under the turret to safety. Oh, that's Thrill of the Hunt. SKS is on the side. Haro decides to go in. He looks for the burst and finds it. Revenge for EDG. They chase onto Road. He's suppressed. He's knocked up. And he's going to try to get the gray health just in time, but will not succeed. Hero's entrance only for the knockup. AJ with a late teleport into the fight as Jin Zhao was firing arrows in the back. Mako solo, but he's pulled to safety by iBoy. The trust fall, the denial by iBoy. Another kill for EDG. Could be looking for a fourth as AJ heals himself up, but he's got nowhere to go. No flash and no chance. Even the teleport from Scout to zone him off from the side. EDG have absolutely just raised the stakes. They even want this kill too. Scout is going for the unofficial ace and he finds it. 5 kills, Frostgarrett.
I swear, not 2 minutes ago, BLG they had taken the driver's wheel, they were in charge of this game, they were outplaying EDG on a macro level, and suddenly they're caught out mid lane and everything falls apart.
And here's how it starts. It's an attempted pick on Mako.
And so much expended into trying to lock down the Braum. That is the Sejuani ultimate on one target who's right next to his tower. And of course, that's a massive cooldown not available. Then it's just easy pickings for Haro. And not only is he going to grab the Sejuani, but then tag onto Tahm Kench. Super great target selection from Scout. He recognizes that Tahm Kench is the one guy that can deny that lockdown. So he grabs him despite the fact that that is the support. And then from here, EDG recognize that they have the teleport advantage. You can even see Scout in the back. He's like, guys, I'm just going to back, I'm going to swap out my heal, and I'm going to come back into this fight later on.
Finding out those final 2 kills. The unofficial ace, of course, is still very early in the game, so we don't quite have the chance to see the full ace happen just yet, but 20 minutes in, it's now a 2,500 gold lead for Edward Gaming. This time, Scout, there's no pressure for him to pick up his blue buff. The Cloud Dragon was picked up by EDG earlier. Still sitting on the Rift Herald for SKS, so there is a bit of chance for them to get some gold back.
They can try to use that offensively, but the scary thing right now is that BLG can't let their guard down. They have to constantly be pressuring, because with the composition of Cho'Gath, Malzahar, and Kalista, anytime EDG are left alone with the Baron, they're just going to snatch it.
And, oh, the Voidlings pull aggro for the Rift Herald. He charges, but he's already taken some damage. They're not able to finish it off, and EDG, as 5, are able to defend. Jin Zhao is slowed, knocked up, slowed again. Good Bola stalls it out, but again, that null grasp onto Road. Hero's entrance for damage reduction is not enough. Jin Zhao steps in, steps right back out. Bit of a do-si-do. Still looking for a squishy target, but BLG reset the fight, keeping their squishies in the back and the tanks up front.
Still very key cooldowns, the Sejuani ultimate, the Galio ultimate being used very defensively, trying to save the support of all people. Now, no one on BLG goes down, but it means that they don't have the confidence to step back forward with that Vladimir, with that Rageblade Varus, and try to win a prolonged, sustained fight.
Ooh, but Athena's racing top. He actually pinged towards it right away. Even SKS behind him, but Scout playing safe, doesn't take a chance. SKS looking for some action, tries to find Mako, but a quick blast plant gets him to safety. And still, this game escalates just a bit more. iBoy still holding mid.
But even though the fact that this isn't a direct correlation of the last team fight, BLG are slowly kind of winning the war of attrition here if they just hunker down and sit. The issue is that they are splitting gold between Varus and Vladimir. So again, we were talking about kind of the options that this composition had. That's a burn flash.
Yeah, Road has to back away. I mean, Scout, it looks like he's running 40% CDR here.
Oh, naturally.
He's already got that Nethergrass back up with Flash and Ghost at this point.
I mean, he's got Unsealed Spellbook and he's got Boots of Ionia. It's a very clear trajectory for Malzahar at this point. He wants to have super short cooldowns on his summoner spells and a super short cooldown on his ultimate. He is there to get into range and to press R on someone.
Yeah, I believe the only reason that Road didn't get away was because that Frost Queen's Claim was still on cooldown. But knowing that BLG are able to escape only just, there are pings going towards the Baron. Plenty of deep vision for EDG, and it looks like BLG, they're going to try to set up their own here.
This isn't BLG actually placing offensive Baron vision for the Baron. It's again the fact that they're so scared that EDG could grab it at any time. It forces them to play this side of the map, which is forcing Vladimir to also kind of hang around the mid lane. He's splitting gold from Varus, and he's also not attending to the wave that Ray is building up on the side of the map. So BLG are actually just getting driven around the map by EDG.
EDG showing their experience, showing their dominance. They do not want to follow up a loss against Snake, traditionally one of the lower teams in the LPL, with a loss against their little brother team of BLG. And with this momentum, despite the addition of Ray and Haro, and most recently iBoy a few weeks before that, they're showing that, hey, we've still got what it takes. We are not the old, tired dogs that are just going to roll over.
And this is where EDG have still looked strong, is at this point in the game. So, you know, their loss to Snake and their kind of fumble against FPX, it was usually kind of in the early game. You know, they got outmaneuvered macro. They're not quite on the same page as Haro or Ray sometimes, but when they're grouped up as 5, EDG are still such a dominant 5v5 team, and a lot of that does go back to the veteran shot calling of Mako. It's been time and time again, you know, he's the guy that BLG think they've got picked out, and then suddenly everything turns on its tides. I love listening to mic checks from Team EDG, because Mako does this thing where as the team fight is going, you hear him say, slow down, as if he's trying to control or dictate the tempo of how a fight breaks out.
Well, tragically, we can't quite tune in to Mako just yet, but I'm sure if we take a look towards the stage, he is just a constant chatterbox feeding information as SKS gets away from the knock-up. Bola will tag onto Road. He's stunned, still has Gray health ready. There's the Nether Grasp. It's going to tag onto him. He is able to get himself up a bit. Haro goes forward, teleport from Amazing J. It's a full-on brawl, and Haro is the first to fall. Mako pins himself over, flashes to safety, but Athena, he's managed to catch onto Scout, who's got no summoner spells. They chase him down. iBoy is stacking up so many Rens, but he just can't quite pull off the damage. BLG, they're finally able to pull EDG into a bad position.
And where we just talked about EDG EDG strengths, you now just got to witness BLG strengths, which is AJ, their start player. He got an incredible teleport position on that ward and that tiny brush, and Vladimir got direct and immediate access into the backline. It's now Baron priority for BLG.
Oh, they're sitting just outside of vision. Ray, very bold, steps forward, but here comes Road. He's going to sacrifice himself to get the team fight again. BLG find the pick onto Ray. They're looking for Mako. He's so low health. The stun, and iBoy is kiting it out. Doesn't quite kill him. iBoy keeping his support alive against the odds.
iBoy on the Kalista, showcasing why this is usually a permaban pick, not just in the LPL, but globally. They have virtually no lockdown to deal with him. If the Galio taunt doesn't connect, if the Varus ultimate isn't available, and if the Sejuani ult's not there, how are they going to stop him?
And Haro following it up, taking his time after timeout, time after death, to sweep out the Baron, and once again, scare BLG just a little bit. We can't see what's going on this side of the map, so we'll have to be very careful about what happens as they make their way back out. But still, 26 minutes in, and BLG, they're raising their stakes as well.
Yeah, this game is pretty much still on a knife's edge. The fact that BLG, yes, they're about 3k gold down, but look at the item breakpoints that they have. Look at the fact that they have a Vladimir on their team. They're only going to scale, they're only going to get stronger, and EDG's game plan seems to be to find a pick with Malzahar, immediately make it a 4v5, and then just keep Kalista alive and dance around a fight. BLG can very easily turn these fights if AJ gets another good flank and another good spread of Hemo Plague.
So often with BLG, we always talk about miracles and making the impossible possible. A lot of that is due to Amazing J, because this guy, he's got faith. He has got belief in his team, and he can make things happen. EDG were clearing out the Baron, they were pushing up, and suddenly they got punished with a 5v5 against BLG, and then followed up with a very clever play to punish them again.
And it's very interesting that, you know, EDG and Amazing J, that idea that when you're facing them, you never quite know when it's over. You always suspect that they can come back, that they can pull out the miracle. And just the fact that so many of these players have kind of grown up together or come from the same development programs speaks to the strength that so many of these young Chinese rookie talents have, and EDG's support staff ability to find them, find the diamonds in the rough, and kind of shape them into these superstars like AJ now.
Well, now we could be seeing a bit of a new superstar for EDG, as iBoy, 340 CS, 28 minutes into the game. A full 70 CS ahead, and look at the vision, look at the darkness. Road again steps forward, absolute faith in his team to follow him up.
He does have kill pressure on pretty much anyone on that roster given enough time.
Mako looking for SKS, Ray steps forward, Chains of Corruption prevents Ray from chasing.
And EDG are just planting their feet, same game plan. They've got the suppression, so they're just going to hide in the Baron. In fact, they're not even going to hide anymore, they're going to start it. That was a mistake.
Trying to pull it out, Haro. Using that thrill of I just said they're trying to pull the Baron out. You can't pull the Baron out of the pit. Trying to pull BLG out of hiding as they manage to catch Amazing J on the side. There's the hero's entrance, but iBoy gets the fight, and now Athena is separated from his team. That's nice stun to try to lock him down. There is no chance that he's able to get out of here. Damage reduction is doing quite a bit, but that is so many spears. iBoy pulls out another kill.
And again, like I said, Kalista has kill pressure on everyone. This isn't a scenario where, you know, a Misfortune is sitting looking like, I can't do damage to any of these tanky champions. She's got her Blade of the Rune King, first completed item, has Hurricane as well as the QSS. So given enough time, she will take down anyone, and that was the pick EDG wanted. It was a fairly straightforward game plan. They were just gonna pitch a tent and camp the Baron, and someone was going to make a mistake.
And it is Amazing J who is caught out by Scout's Nether Grasp. Here we can see again, he clears a ward.
Gives vision of himself, and then Scout isn't going to miss a beat. I believe he's going to flash over and find it.
Hugging the wall, doesn't even
here's
flash.
Ray's flash.
Yeah, leaping in to try to follow it up. And then the tanky Galio, though he's got a bit of support from SKS, there is no chance that he can escape 5 members of EDG with that much crowd control. And that's going to be Baron for Edward Gaming. 6,000 gold up. They're going to even finish off this Cloud Dragon in 6 minutes. That's going to be an Elder.
But even with the Baron, it's still relatively difficult for EDG to pressure or siege into IMA's composition. They have to give a lot of respect to Galio, Sejuani, and there's ample wave clear between both Galio, Varus, and Vladimir. So I think EDG's only strategy, especially because they have the Cho'Gath, is actually to look for a dive or, again, another pick.
Still no Gargoyle Stone Plate from Ray. Still sitting on the Adaptive Helm. Righteous Glory to catch up to folks, but EDG, they just swap bottom.
This should not happen.
Okay.
BLG, this should not happen to them. They have a Tahm Kench and they have a Vladimir. The fact that EDG are just able to find kind of freestanding towers that they're just able to easily rotate to, I mean, yes, it's easier than trying to break the inhib line, but frankly, EDG are much more likely that they should be bundled up as 5, and BLG don't have to play that way, but they are.
Lots of damage from EDG. They're able to break down the turret. Knockup after knockup onto SKS prevents him from finding an opening. And now they're able to sweep up and defend as BLG look to keep themselves safe on the high ground. A much easier position to fortify and hunker down in.
I have the high ground.
Well,
that is very similar to this.
yes, it certainly is.
Master versus student.
EDG stepping in once again, no hesitation, wave after wave. This is the third minion wave. The first 2 took turrets.
There's the engage.
Change of corruption onto Scout.
Ooh,
He
good flash.
flashes, just barely getting out of the stun. Jin Zhao steps forward, but Ray happily soaking this damage. iBoy clearing out the minion wave, and here they go again.
And here's the thing, there's now big ultimates down, so EDG have even more confidence that they can just step forward, tank the damage, and push the tower down.
Yeah, Thrill of the Hunt, going to keep them back. Amazing J forced to pull away. Big burst, but he drops into the Sanguine Pool, and the inhibitor line is broken. EDG not letting this game stall out, not letting BLG turn into that 5-man snowball.
But also a big misuse of a lot of key ultimates, and I feel like that's kind of been the phrase for BLG all game. It's that these key ults and cooldowns aren't hitting the right targets. They're not all moving together as one, which there's frankly no excuse for that. This roster has been together for 2.5 splits now.
Tragically, they're not quite finding the momentum that they need in this game. About 8,500 gold behind EDG. That lead is just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, at this point, there's not much BLG can do. They've unfortunately been picked out a lot. Even now, Vladimir is going to have a hard time trying to get anything done in a side lane due to the resistances that Cho has. Ray's going to be more than happy to look for that 1v1 and have push pressure against him. And it's also the experience and level disadvantage. You know, AJ has spent so much of his time just kind of sitting behind his team. Are we going in? Are we not going in? And it feels like if AJ isn't the guy literally teleporting into the backline, that BLG just don't know how to start a fight, which is so weird.
Look at this timing. EDG as 4 collapse onto the blue buff, forcing Rhodes' flash, and SKS is dead.
Why are you there? Why do you think that you own that blue buff? You know that the last outer tower is going to be the easiest objective for EDG to secure.
Almost a bit of shamefulness. Yeah, shame out of BLG as they find themselves in a tricky situation, and as a result, EDG are just rolling over them. Haro split push on the side as that Rengar is wont to do. The rest of EDG shoved forward. Baron buffer, no. They break down the inhibitor turret as Ray not quite able to catch up to Jin Zhao, though he does land the knockup, and another inhib is broken.
Whereas BLG had formerly been kind of a brick wall, they're now nothing more than a speed bump. And EDG are probably going to roll over them.
And this was the form that fans were expecting out of EDG after their loss against Snake. This is how EDG proved themselves, but it looks like Road is going to start the fight. He goes into the back line. Hero's entrance. Haro lops into the back onto Jin Zhao, and it's chaos. His health is being traded, but somehow AJ and the team find their battle lines. BLG might just be winning this as iBoy. He's got nothing to do with Thina with the flash, misses the knockup, but that's 2 kills for BLG.
But why didn't you do that 10 years earlier? BLG! This is what I said. EDG shouldn't be able to siege. With the Baron, it's still going to be hard. They're a short-range composition. They need to really just plant their feet and get right in front of a tower, and you have so many initiation tools. You've got a Tahm Kench ultimate. You have a Sejuani. You have a Galio. Use the Vladimir flank into the background. And BLG, for the last 7 minutes, have just been making eye contact with EDG and just giving them things.
Waiting for it, yeah.
Chinese New Year came early. They're like, take this tower, take this inhib. And suddenly they're just like, Rhodes, no. we fight now. And suddenly they realize how strong they are, how their composition works, the cooldowns go on the correct thing, and even though EDG have close to a 10k gold lead, they're able to force them away.
It's not a Hail Mary if your back isn't against the wall. BLG, ever the miracle team, and the conditions have to be right, Frosco. If any team knows, it's this team.
I do like the fact, though, that BLG never give up. You call them the miracle workers, but it's just that fact that, 10k gold down, 35 minutes in, they're like, I think we can win. I think we should do it.
Take this. Yeah. They're the team that epitomizes the "we've got late game" phrase that you hear so often in solo queue.
They just always get tilt-proof.
Yeah, exactly. Elder Dragon coming up in 20 seconds. Baron 10 seconds afterwards. EDG, they've still got super minions pushing both top and bottom. Pings going towards the Elder. No teleport for either Amazing J or Athena.
And BLG are going to have to really work their miracle. They've got 2 inhibs down, which is why Athena is basically playing goalkeeper duty as the Galio.
Abyssal Voyage as Amazing J is carried into the back. Jin Zhao tags onto Mako, but the minions are pushing. Mako goes in, and BLG, they're in a funnel. They're going to chase it through. Athena from the side is knocked up. Mako is going so low. No follow-up on the taunt. Haro leaps into the back, but Jin Zhao saved by the hero's entrance, and Haro goes down to Amazing J. Another grasp onto the tank is denied. EDG, this is a risky fight. They're going to try to follow through, though. AJ follows up. iBoy leaping like a madman, smacking steer after spear, and EDG are forced to disengage again, losing Haro and Mako.
But BLG are doing it again. It's such a hard juggle right now because look at their base. Athena had the perfect window right before the super creeps crashed in to try to make that engage happen. So,
teleport from Ray. He's going to try to end the game right now. Oh man, and this could just be EDG finishing it off while the miracle workers were trying to pull a rabbit out of their hat. EDG, we're just checking what's under the table. Athena's going to try to catch up though. Here comes the rest of EDG. They're going to get the Nether Grasp for another kill, and just like this, BLG so focused on the Hail Mary, they don't see the running play right in front of them. The Nexus goes down. EDG take game 1.
They pulled the snap. They were in the pocket. They were trying to dump it deep, and they just got blitzed.
Tragedy. And now BLG find themselves at the mercy of their big brothers. I mean, I said before the broadcast, this could be brother versus brother. And EDG says, no. Mind your elders.
But it's the fact that these teams know each other so well. So we know that it's going to be a competitive game, but also the fact that everyone knows kind of the tricks of the trade or the plays that each organization really has. Is you can see on Athena's face that they are not happy with that loss. Now, it's not best of 1. We're not the NALCS. So there are still 2 more chances for BLG to come back. Excuse me, 1 more chance, technically.
Exactly. They need to win at least 1 more game to bring it to the ace match. And iBoy, you can't really see it, but that was a bit of a smirk on his face as he headed backstage.
His CS, his KDA, his Callista, everything was about iBoy. He just got to run over in those late game fights.
And look at that gold differential,
11,000
gold. And iBoy, 35,000 damage. Impressive scoreline for him. But still, that game ended much closer, I think, than anyone would have expected with BLG finding their momentum late on. But EDG, we got to come back to this because just a few days ago, they lost to Snake, who is traditionally a lower tier team.
Snake are on the rise.
Yeah, they certainly are. I say traditionally, but EDG, prove them wrong with results. That's their motto, and that's exactly what I think we just saw in Game 1.
Yes, but now they need to do it again. So EDG have shown up strong before, and then things kind of have fumbled and fallen apart. So I'm not quite yet sold on that this is the strongest iteration of EDG, that they've really, made it work and had all the pieces fit together. I think BLG gave them a lot of errors in that game that they really took advantage of.
Yeah. As is standard when things happen like this in the LPL. But still, it is exciting to see EDG playing up like this. BLG, perhaps a little bit too respectful in the beginning, though. But we're going to go ahead and toss it over to our analyst to see what they can make out of that game.
Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, we need to make a lot of that because I was going to start talking about Champion Slate, though I feel like we have to talk about the ending. Because what was that? It was just like BLG went down mid lane. It's like, we've got this team fight. We kept on winning. Took my headset off for a second. Crowd completely silent. Like through every single team fight that BLG was winning, absolutely not a peep. and then you look at the base and the minions are winning the game.
Yep, the minions were absolutely winning the game. And the simple answer to this pulse is that BLG picked their moment way too late. I know Froskerin said it during the cast as well, but 35 odd minutes, and that was the moment they decided that everything was on the line. After 2 inhibitors were gone, after minions weren't prepared in side waves, that was when they just said, we're going to hold the line here. And they won 2 consecutive team fights. Now, if they did that 3 minutes earlier, things may have been different, and yes, they might have been waiting on item spikes. They might have been waiting on certain things to be there for themselves, but the map was losing slowly but and assuredly until that point, and by the time they picked it, it was too late.
Which is fair, but they have a deathful composition. Like the caster spoke about it in Champion Select, like it has to very much be about grouping together and making those fights happen as soon as possible. And like we know that BLG is able to do this. Like we've seen BLG go 3-0 now, so it's not like the team is incapable of doing so.
That's entirely true, yet I feel like there were moments. So Amazing J on the Vladimir rushed a Void Staff as Vladimir, and that does mean that he wants to team fight straight away. They've got a tank in the mid lane that will drop off when you hit mid game, but it's gone towards an Abyssal Mask, and so they wanted to fight. They couldn't kill this guy. iBoy is your MVP.
Yeah, this guy was an absolute monster during the game. At 27 minutes, he had 333 farm. His opponent had 270.
Yes.
This guy was farming out of his mind. Yes, all the resources were going his way, but you saw him in those team fights. He just kited the heck out of that entire team.
Yeah, and he was close to 1,000 damage per minute as well, having 35k in a 37-minute game, so performance from the AD carry was exceptional. He had his items rushed super early. You mentioned the CS differential, and that was the biggest factor as to why EDG were able to come up clutch in that game, and most of the clutch was on iBoy. They drafted to protect him, but they also did the correct way of protecting him. Yet it felt like the onus kind of went both ways as to where the mistakes were and how other teams were able to capitalize.
I mean, talking about BLG being slow, we're going to show a replay here of EDG basically taking the first step, which was what started all of this up.
And remember, whoever engages in this game tends to lose the fight. Such is the law of BLG versus EDG. Mako with the disengage gets to stand and deliver his ultimate whilst frozen. And just like that, right, SKS gets the opportunity to go in. And that's the reason that I say whoever engages loses, because now they have nothing left, Bilibili. They just kind of sit here and watch as the damage dealers of EDG are now able to show up and take advantage of you. Galio can only protect so hard. Amazing J can only do so much damage. He wasn't there at the start of the fight. The Void Staff user wasn't there to apply the damage. So why are BLG fighting? Why are they picking the fights and engages without their damage dealer there to actually complement that?
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well that Malzahar was running full CDR, and he went ultimate hat as well, and the guy just constantly had those ultimates, and he was just essentially turned into a bit of a pick comp because you have a pick mid laner, and constantly we just see BLG send members off to like random places on the map, like Amazing J was trying to flank, for example, SKS was taking the blue buff for some reason, and they were just getting caught out.
Yeah, they certainly were out of position a few times. The biggest reason that the game started to tip towards EDG. The structures fell down like they were nothing shortly after those picks. So kudos to EDG. They played their comp out very well.
Yeah, exactly. EDG currently with the 1-0. We are going to take a short break before the teams get ready for game number 2. We'll see you soon.